It feels like Netflix is starting to slowly churn out these murder mystery docs. The one I just watched, American Murder, Laci Peterson. Is this worth your time? 3 episodes of something that happened 20 years ago. Let's find out. Chase Lee Hockey here at the Blue Futon reviewing American Murder, Laci Peterson. What's up? Pretty simple premise. So this is about a murder that happened in California where the husband murdered her wife and unborn child, which I'm not going to get political, but how do you explain an unborn child to some of the people that are like very pro-abortion? Was it murder of a baby? Was it a human life? So that's that is a very good doc to get some of these people that are very pro-abortion and say, hey, if we murder the mother, is that child also murdered too? Because some of them don't think babies are murdered at that point in time. Anyway, I just think that's an interesting fact because they do in this movie charge him with 2 counts of murder. So, like I said, this is 3 episodes that goes into detail with Scott's family members, with Laci's family members, with cops, reporters, etc., etc. And I think this sums it up pretty well. I think a media reporter said it in this doc where, honestly, this is a run-of-the-mill murder, husband murdered wife story. But it was big because of the media. And so that got me intrigued where how many murders that are, I'm not going to say more horrific because all murder is horrific. Because when you bring that up, of course, there's about to be a doc series about the horrific things that happened in Idaho with the 4 college kids. In the next year or next 2 years, you're going to have a doc about that for freaking sure. But when it does come to this story, yes, it's relevant with, just murder being horrible in general. But this was very run-of-the-mill where I think because it was 20 years old and it made the news and it was so predominant, yes, you could say OJ does the same thing and everything like that. But it just was, it was fine. You did get the facts. You did get the story. You did get different, could it be these people that are robbing houses? Even though there's the robbing houses one where something doesn't connect, I'm not saying that they had anything to do with it, period dot. But of course they're lying about when they robbed the house. And there are I think that's the other thing with this movie is, yeah, you have like 1 or 2 what if moments, but the 1 or 2 what if moments are so like minuscule because it's one of the stories where it's like, when you find out he has a mistress, it's like, he did it. Like, there's no if, ands, or buts. So I think that is where I hate to say the underwhelming factor, but it's just something that's so predictable. Yes, that's horrible to say, but all facts, all past events from other murders, everything leads to this guy. Like, period, dot, end of subject. There is no if, ands, or buts. There is nothing saying like, oh my God, the clue, or Knives Out, like, oh, is it this person, this person, this person? It was literally one person and one person only. But I'm not giving fault away from the filmmaking because, they lay out all the facts on the table. They get good interviews. They get good, scenarios with the media of what they think they've done, sensationalizing this murder, and it shouldn't have been sensationalized. There was also an interesting aspect of where the family members of Scott were taken in front of the courthouse and people were yelling at them saying, I hope you burn in hell, etc., etc., which at a point, it's like, that's pretty messed up because, like, at a point, it seemed like the kid was raised perfectly, no abuse. The kid, or the Scott guy, at a point said, like, it seemed like he never even wanted a kid. He was just a greedy dude. And you're going to really tell his mom to burn in hell or hope you feel good about yourself? Of course she feels horrible that her son murdered someone. Like, at a point, so that's where, it could have dug deeper. Yes, I understand the point of this movie to show that, the pregnancy leads to more deaths, which that's another stat I want to look into more because it feels like I've never heard of it before, or if it is true, no one talks about it like at all. So I find that interesting. Uh, but like I said, this is very run of the mill, and I think why I was underwhelmed because to a point, it really didn't bring anything new to the table. Yes, it wanted to re-examine this case, if you want to put it that way. But with things like this, with Knox, with all these others, huge predominant ones, there's just so many of them already made. Like I'm pretty sure there's one of these made in 2017, and other ones. So you're just thinking, yes, you want to re-examine it, but at what point are we over sensationalize? I'm going to say it wrong, but at one point do we just say, yes, we want to remember what happened, the horrific things that do occur, but it's almost like sensationalizing school shootings where we keep bringing them up and who the murderer was. It's like the more we bring it up, the more is it helping or hurting. And I know it sounds horrible, but it just other things that you got to think about people's psyche, because some people are just messed up in the head. And when people see this, they're like, oh, he screwed up here, here, here. How can I make it better? I don't know. But overall, it's well made. It's well interviewed. But the why factor for me was there. So American Murder, Laci Peterson will receive a 3 out of 5 with Futons, which equals that 60%. So let's see the critics news scores gave this one. So we have, of course, critics 100% with 6 of them. Audience scores 76% with fewer than 50. No critic consensus. And looking at the critics, you have like a 7 out of 10, a 3.5 out of 5, 2.5 out of 4. Like I said, they're 80%. So they're in the 80%. And I'm reading, they're kind of like the same way where it's like, oh, we're good, we're rehashing this. But, there's been so many of these made. And sometimes I can say it gets tiring. I think that's what this one was truly about. Anyway, 76, 60, 100. Chase Leoc here at the Blue Futon. Like, comment, subscribe. One more thing is Bluetopia. You Blue Futon, take a watch. Have a great day. Watch this tape tomorrow, week from now, month, or a year from now. Every single freaking one of you. And again, this might not be a review as this doc as a whole, but just what it does and what it's supposed to do.